Hi there. Woke up this morning, 8:30. Turned on the YouTube and looking for a podcast, looking for some Ashes Test match updates and news for the morning to listen to, and lo and behold, the country of Australia, the state of Sydney, and has now fallen victim to its worst terrorist atrocity in the modern era. Listening to the news feeds, I had Rebel News on, who were they were running ABC in the background, which of course is state-sponsored or government-sponsored left-wing pro-Hamas, pro-Islam news. But that was just on in the background. Rebel News were basically discussing the atrocity and the fallout from the atrocity this morning. The MO seems pretty predictable from what I can see. People of brown skin color, and presumably we're going to find out with Islamic names. A number of people have been shooting high-powered shotguns randomly into crowds of people on Bondi Beach, which is a popular tourist location, obviously, which everyone will have heard of. And there was it's a Sunday, so there was a Hanukkah festival nearby, or Hanukkah, for Jewish people. So obviously that might have been a magnet which drew these organized attackers to the area today to cause havoc and take innocent lives indiscriminately, including children, I'm led to believe from what I hear. Welcome to the club, Australia. Your Labour government there, have no doubts about it. Your Labour government there is demonstrably complicit in these terrorist atrocities. They do not protect the people, the citizens of Australia. They don't. They're letting people into your country, thousands of them, hundreds of thousands, who don't like your country. The only reason they want to be in your country is to take it over, or to destroy it, and to destroy you. They're fundamentalists. Fundamentalists don't take prisoners. They don't bargain, and they can't be reasoned with. That's why they're called fundamentalists. Honestly, I mean, what are we doing? What are westernized nations doing in Europe and Australasia? What are we doing to ourselves? I mean, it's a zero-sum game, isn't it? Our governments that we've elected, remember, they're trying to eradicate us from our own nations. Slowly, of course. It's not going to happen overnight, but the needle's moving. It's already Well, it's not starting. It's fully underway. It's a weird, it's a strange variety of absolutism that has invaded us, and we seem to lack the wherewithal and the will to challenge it. As nation states, I'm not talking about individuals, but although the majority of individuals are still sitting on their couches and hoping it'll go away, not talking about it, discussing it with kid gloves. They don't want to upset the apple cart. They don't want to pull a Jenga piece out, because they might lose their job. Ooh, you're going to lose your life. Your kids are in danger. Your grandkids are in mortal danger. Wake up. Wake the fuck up. While these countries are still democracies, we still have the power to vote. They might suppress those powers, or they might seek to suppress those powers, but we're still the majority. We're still easily the majority. And I'm not talking about the lemmings, the masochists and the suicidal empathy, bleeding hearts people who hate themselves and people of the same skin color as themselves. I'm not talking about you. You're lost. There's nothing. I can't do nothing for you, man. You're lost. You've already lost. You've surrendered. It's really difficult to say I'm shocked this morning. It's just difficult. And I've heard the arguments. I've heard all the contra arguments, We interfere with other countries. We go into Islamic regions, we support the Jews. Our nations, where we fund the Jews. They're entrenched into our infrastructure, our finance, and our banking, and our corporations, and we deal with the devil. No, the Jews aren't the devil. The Jews as a race, they're not the devil. Sure, they have certain characteristics. And some of those characteristics people find disagreeable. And to an extent, I can recognize an aspect of that when it's rational, I can recognize aspects of that. There are things about every nation, every race, every people that are disagreeable. Every people. The people I belong to, the people you belong to, nobody's perfect. But I can still see the difference between a race or a cult-indoctrinated nation of peoples or nations of peoples who are hostile and who are murderous and who are absolutists. You can't negotiate with absolutists. It doesn't get you very far. I mean, you can try, but you're not gonna come out successful from any negotiation with an absolutist or a fundamentalist. So yeah, the people who say, well, really, it's the fault of the Jewish people. Let's not forget the diaspora. After World War II, after Hitler's attempted eradication of the Jewish people in Europe. Um, you know, they were spread to the four winds, and basically had to start again. And the people that can't tolerate the idea or the notion of Zionism, the Jews, the displaced Jews searching for ancient land, a home, somewhere to build a nation state. And there is only one Jewish nation state, just one, as opposed to the many Islamic states across the globe. There is only one Jewish state, and they tried to create a state, a democratic, free, safe nation for their peoples. That's what they tried to do. You can say what you like about Rothschilds and the rest of, the world was a different place in the 1960s. It wasn't the same place it is now. You hadn't even had the Arab Spring, Iran, sorry. You hadn't even it was a totally different world. And to say that all of the problems of the modern West and also obviously the other conflict zones, to say that it's all the fault, of Zionists and the Jewish people, it's a fatuous argument. It's totally fatuous. The Jews have not infiltrated, well, they exist in every Western culture, but then they've not infiltrated Western culture with a view to murder Western culture and implement their own culture. No, they haven't. They might want to succeed and influence Western culture. Succeed in Western culture. They're not looking to take down Western culture. And that's the difference between the Jews and the Muslims. Islam is a religion, a cult, based upon dominance. Dominance over the individual's free will, dominance over women, dominance over ideological opponents, dominance over culture, dominance over everything. It's a religion, an ideology, a cult based on dominance. And they want to dominate us, and they want to dominate you. Yeah, I'm looking on the screen at all these fleets of emergency services and ambulances and around Bondi in Australia after this mass shooting. There's dead bodies on the street and they're all blurred out and covered up. I mean, are these the kind of scenes we wanted to import into our countries when we decide to take unheard of numbers of refugees and asylum seekers from the countries that look like this, the countries that self-govern in a fashion that leads to bloodshed and murder and mass atrocities? Is this what we want? Because we seem to have asked for it. So if you don't ask, you don't get. And we asked and we are getting. I mean, I don't go out the house anymore. I live in Scotland. Scotland's become like an autocratic, self-governing state of the British Isles, and there's some very funny laws going on in Scotland at the moment. Very the laws over what we're allowed to say, what we're allowed to do, and how we're allowed to go about it. Um, they've become very restrictive to people with people who don't necessarily follow the toe the government line, the mainstream line of media lies and propaganda. Um, we're sophisticated now. Most people can see through propaganda. I mean, God knows we've been subject to we've been bombarded with propaganda for so many decades, and it's just ramped up. I mean, I think COVID might have been the breaking point. The pandemic, it might have been the breaking point with the propaganda. You know, the fatuous propaganda, people on screens with stern faces, um, who are pretending to be serious actors, serious people. You know, telling you that put your face mask on because there's a pandemic and you don't want to spread it to other people. You know, a face mask made out of cloth, which has holes so you can breathe. Doesn't that imply something? So yeah, so we were all turned into masked um, simpletons in the space of a few weeks. And woe betide you question the narrative of wearing masks. Woe betide you. Bang you up in jail. Why are you out without your mask on? Do you want people to die? Well, I'll tell you why people are dying. People died during the COVID pandemic because you wouldn't fucking treat them. You wouldn't give them any drugs. You wouldn't give them any antivirals. You put them on respirators. Sick people, dying people on respirators. That's what you do when you want them to die. When you're looking at palliative care. Not everyone was ready to die. Not everybody. You gave them drugs that suppressed respiratory function. Why would you do that? Again, that's palliative care. You're then making them die. This all happened on our watch while we just blindly, obediently obeyed panels of experts who own huge chunks of the pharmaceutical companies, manufacturing companies, and protective gear manufacturing companies, and all the companies that stood to make an absolute killing out of a worldwide pandemic. An absolute killing. Look at their share price. Look how much money they made. And we're listening to panels of so-called experts and doctors, right? And yeah, let's be honest, all doctors always agree, don't they? Always believe a doctor. See how far that gets you. You know, have you ever heard of a second opinion or a third? And we were supposed to listen. We were supposed to listen to these people and do what we were told. Do you think we're going to do what we're told next time? Do you? Nah. Love and prayers to the people of Australia and Sydney, Bondi Beach, anybody who was there at the massacre today. Families of those people, you have my sincerest wishes. Over and out.